Jay-Z has reportedly gone into hiding. After shocking news surfaced, Michael Jackson is alive and he's preparing to reveal the truth. I have video evidence that you're about to see, but before we dive in, let's set the stage.
One person I believe in Hollywood who people conspired to actually take down because he had too much power, and I believe that person was Michael Jackson. The reason I believe that is because you can look into the story. Paul McCartney and Michael used to be real cool. Paul was telling Michael like, yo, you gotta get your business together, you gotta get your business right. Michael ended up getting so big that he bought the Beatles Publishing. The Beatles Publishing was worth so much that literally Sony gave Michael Jackson half of their publishing company just to own the Beatles catalog. Imagine how powerful a black man is when he owns a majority of the music industry's publishing. In some cases, was even giving publishing back to some of the artists. He gave Little Richard his publishing back. I don't know how many people he did that to, but he gave Little Richard his publishing back. I believe that Michael Jackson had too much power in the music industry, had too much control over the most valuable asset in music, which is people's publishing, and I believe they had to take him out because of it.
Michael Jackson was never just framed by the media. He was systematically silenced. For years, rumors swirled that his death didn't add up. Now, we finally see hints that he may have survived, but under forced conditions. Let's look at what the footage reveals.
What is a 30?
Sia kept running with the fact that Michael Jackson was a PDF file. So at that point, Michael wasn't only broke mentally, he was broke due to the legal proceeding, which was weird to Michael because he could have swore that he made hundreds of millions of dollars throughout the years, although he still retained that 50% ownership, meaning that his net worth was still high as hell, but his liquidity, meaning his real actual card hold cash, was nothing. So he knew he needed to make some money before he sold the catalog and disappeared forever, which is when he then announced, this is it. But before it ever started, he died, meaning Michael Jackson died damn near completely broke while still owning the catalogs and all the masters to everything he had already bought. But the guy that gave Michael Jackson the drugs, Dr. Conrad Murray, instead of calling 911 as soon as he saw Michael Jackson's vitals start to get low, he called somebody else. Called a dude named Fahim Muhammad. Fahim Muhammad was P. Diddy's bodyguard, and apparently this is a guy in the industry that you call when you need to clean something up. But that's not even the worst part about it, because after Michael Jackson died, the Jackson family went to court to go collect his fortune. They had found out that 7 years earlier, all the way back in 2002, a man that Michael Jackson fired all the way in 2003, just a year later, a man named John Branca was siphoning money from Michael Jackson's account to an offshore Caribbean account, which is why John Branca got fired. Not to mention the 50% ownership in ATV that Michael Jackson had was gone. And when they looked into why that money was gone and the ownership was gone, they had found out that Michael Jackson's estate was signed off to John Branca someday in LA. The weird thing was that the day that that document was signed in LA, Michael Jackson wasn't even in LA. He was in New York. And the worst part, the new biopic that they're making about Michael Jackson that's also starred by his nephew, Jafar Jackson, I would like you to guess who the executive producer is on that movie. John Branca, the dude that Michael Jackson fired in 2003 for siphoning money from his account to some offshore Caribbean account, is now in charge and the executive producer of the biopic movie about Michael Jackson. The entire thing was a smear so that they can own Michael Jackson as a kid, while he lived, and after he died, all to further exploit his name. The music industry is fucked, man. I'm telling you.
As if that wasn't enough, Michael himself allegedly confessed that Jay-Z and powerful figures in Hollywood forced him into a new identity. Through advanced face surgery, they tried to erase the man the world knew as the king of pop, all to keep their control intact.
The first original public clones was Michael Jackson.
What?
Yes. So if you take a look at Michael Jackson, right? Oh, he had plastic surgery. This is why they're making plastic surgery really popular, quote unquote, because they can basically deduce, oh, the celebrity had plastic surgery. It's not a clone, it's plastic surgery. That's why they look different, right? So Michael Jackson was their first sort of test run for cloning. And specifically the reason why they replaced him with a clone was because he was saying too much.
He was, right?
He was against the system. He was talking, you know, out of bounds, quote unquote, because they couldn't control him anymore. And he wanted to wake people up. So they kicked him off. They replaced him with a clone. And that's why his skin got whiter. That's why his face got more gaunt.
You've had implants in your cheeks.
Oh, God.
You've had a dimple made in your chin.
Please,
You've had your lips enlarged.
Oh, please.
You've had your eyelids reconstructed. Eyelids reconstructed.
It's stupid.
None of it's true.
None of it's true.
None of it's true. It's BS. They made it up. They lie. They don't want to give me credit for anything. One paper said I had because I was growing a little beard, he had each little hair transplanted into his face with a lasered in. How ignorant is that? I can't even grow a beard now? You ignorant fool who wrote such a thing.
Even worse, they pushed him to tell the world that his transformation was because of his father's influence, carefully planting a cover story so the truth would never be questioned. The media repeated it endlessly and the public believed.
Is it true that your father used to say you had a fat...
Now, let's analyze this footage carefully. Every frame tells us more about how far they went to keep Michael silent, to rewrite his story, and to ensure nobody knew the power he truly...
Like, you know, they'd be like, oh, Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC. Michael's the only person I believe they really tried to railroad like that because of what he did with the publishing in the music industry.
He talked about it all the time. He talked about it all the time. One thing I will say is that in the studio, he would always talk about how he lived in a certain fear. And I used to always try to reel him in a direction like, yo, you only supposed to fear God. Man shouldn't have you feeling like that. No man should have you living in that space. But he lived in that space a lot because he felt like he had something that was so valuable, which he did. He had something so valuable that people wanted.
He owned like half of Sony ATV's publishing, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you said it that way because I think people have confused the narrative. People for so long have said, Michael owned the Beatles catalog.
I heard that.
No, Michael owned Sony ATV.
That's right.
Which is Babyface, Mariah, the Beatles.
Beyonce.
Probably some of my catalog was in there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Isn't that
feel
like
me?
half the
Like,
music industry?
yes. At the time, you had three giants. Sony was pretty much the biggest out the three at that time. And they did a deal with him that forever he felt that they wanted back.
You think they threw all those cases at Michael because they wanted it back?
I think it could have had something to do with it. I'm not going to say exactly that, but it could have had something to do with it. But I believe none of it because I was around Mike all the time and I knew the kind of person he was. So I'm like, they really trying to kill his character.
Yeah, I don't believe
And
it.
he would say it, like, he'd be like, they just can't stand that I'm the greatest. He would literally say that. He would literally say that. They just can't stand that I'm the greatest.
How was his mind frame during that time? Did he feel like the culture, especially black people, supported him and loved him, or did he feel like the world was turning against him?
Now, I would say we started to surround him with that. Like, if you look, there was a period where I think he didn't feel that. And I felt like he was like, I need this, right? So there were certain people that he started to reach out to put their arms around him, and he started to feel that. That's why he would do a summer jam with Jay-Z. He knew, like, I need people to have my back in this, and then certain people did wrap their arms around him.
Yeah.
And as things progressed, the one thing I can tell you about Michael that I started to learn was his family was strong. When they got together and wore all that white, they were wearing those white, going into court each day, you saw that unity in a different type of light. You're like, oh, yo, these Jacksons, they're not playing around with this. They unified. And I think that helped him, even though he was like probably going through it mentally weak and all of that. It's tough when you know you pretty much own something that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Dang.
For decades, Michael lived in fear, but that fear's over. He's reportedly ready to speak, ready to share what he endured, and to expose the names behind it all.
Michael Jackson owned, the rights to the Beatles. He owned a significant portion of Elvis's catalog. Who's more popular than them two guys in the world of white music? And a black man owns the rights. Sony Records deliberately sabotaged Michael Jackson's last album, Invincible, to guarantee that he would be into debt to the corporation, so he would have to pay them back by giving up the catalog. And ultimately, that's why he was murdered. He should have never came back to the Staples Centers to prepare for those concerts that he had lined up. Those concerts would have gave him the liquid cash to pay off his debt to Sony and keep his catalog. So in order to make sure you get the catalog back, you got to make sure that Michael never goes on tour to get the liquid cash. Michael wasn't broke. He just didn't have the liquid cash. He had the assets. He didn't have the liquid money. And from what I heard, the catalog is no longer in the Jackson family's possession.
Michael's death was not the result of one fatal incident. It was more like a case of death by 1,000 cuts.
Who really killed Michael Jackson? I would say that Dr. Murray was a facilitator, and Dr. Klein and a number of the other doctors that were in a hurry to give Michael what he wanted. The family couldn't stop it. They were concerned. AEG, according to the family, put a lot of pressure on Michael, and no matter what anybody says, there gets a point where you could take a whole group of people and say that was the basic cause.
Who really killed Michael Jackson? In my opinion, it's my profession. It was not just one physician, it was multiple physicians. And I'm here to tell you that in those decades, my peers killed my patients, often celebrities, all the time. And it breaks my heart to say it, but it's the truth.
It's sad to say that Michael Jackson died. But Michael Jackson killed Michael Jackson. And all of those other doctors that enabled him with opioids over the years are complicit to his death.
How difficult was Michael Jackson's passing for you?
Devastating. I have so many good memories. Spending time with him. I've known his family for so many years. For at least 20. That I thought, this can't be true. This can't be true. I just remember doing the anniversary special, 30th anniversary. And I remember looking at Michael. I remember looking at myself.
That's when you were so bone thin, you were frail.
I was getting scared.
Looking at him?
Yeah. And then I could see myself, I was looking at myself going, no, I don't want this to be like this. This can't happen, not both of us, but Mike.
When is the last time you saw him?
I think it was that time, but I spoke to him during the trial a lot. By that time, he had cut everybody, a lot of people off. He didn't want to be seen.
Did he cut you off?
He would speak to me on the phone, but he didn't want me to.
All of this happened because Michael Jackson refused to completely give in to the Illuminati's demands. He resisted their control, and for that, he paid the price. But now the truth is surfacing, and the world is not ready for what comes